Judge Boasberg is a household name by now. This is the judge that approved the FISA warrants against the Trump administration when they were running for the election. This is the judge that recently ordered deportation planes to be turned around, even though they were filled with illegal aliens who were criminals and acted violently. This is also the judge that now wants to go after the Trump administration for, in the clip you're about to see, Jim Jordan is not having any of it. He and Newt Gingrich lay down the law and explain exactly what we can do to prevent these types of corrupt and biased judges from wreaking havoc against the Constitution, and how we can stand up and expose this and bring it to light. And if you love content like this, make sure you like and subscribe. Here we go.
We now go to the chairman of the full committee, Mr. Jordan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Professor Shaw, so was Judge Boasberg correct when he said turn the plane around?
I think that protecting the jurisdiction of his court...
That wasn't the question. Was he correct when he said turn the plane around, bring the guys back who harassed Ms. Romero, drove her out of her home, harassed her neighbors, shot her car? Was he correct when he said turn the plane around, bring those individuals back to the United States?
Based on the record before him, I think that was an absolutely defensible decision to have made in the time-pressured condition.
Ms. Romero, what do you think? You agree with the professor and with the judge? Three of those individuals on the plane, Thomas Murillo Pena was wanted for kidnapping in Chile, was in the Denver area where they got him. Javier Vargas Lugo, attempted kidnapping, was in the Denver area. Nixon Azusa Perez was in the Aurora area. He may have been one of the guys who harassed you. Do you think that plane should have came back and brought those individuals back to the United States?
I feel safer every time a plane is loaded up and leaving this country.
Yeah, I was, the previous member from California talked about your riveting testimony. One of the lines you had in your testimony that got everyone's attention was, quote, there are no government programs to grant citizens temporary protected status from imported gangs in our country. Amen to that. There is none. And that's why this is so important that we move these people out. Mr. Speaker, should the judge who's been assigned the Hegseth case, Judge Boasberg, should he recuse himself from that case? And understand the standard, I know you do, Speaker. The standard is a reasonable person. Would a reasonable person believe that this judge can't be impartial with this case? And I would just remind you of a couple things. This is the judge who was on the FISA court when they granted warrants to spy on President Trump's campaign. This is the judge who handled the Kevin Kleinsmith case, an FBI lawyer who lied to the FISA court to help get those warrants and was given a slap on the wrist by Judge Boasberg. Not my words, the Wall Street Journal said it, because it was. He was a member of the bar, lied to a court, and got some probationary sentence. So now this judge said, turn the plane around, and now he's been assigned the Hegseth case. And I'm just asking, do you think Judge Boasberg should recuse himself from that case?
I think this is a classic case where the Chief Justice should intervene. I mean, when you have a blatant, continuing record of prejudice, that judge should not be put in charge of a case. And as I said earlier, I'm not for going through the whole process of impeachment because I think it's at a practical level not possible. I am, however, for using the potential capacity of the Congress to simply defund, which Jefferson did and which clearly is possible. But I think what you just described is illustrative of why I use the term coup d'etat. You have a small group of people who believe that they have the right to arrogate rejecting the American people and doing whatever they want and cooperating with people who clearly were behaving illegally. I mean, that's one of the great tragedies of the last 6 or 8 years is it's the government which has been illegal. It's the FBI which was illegal. And how can you possibly have the rule of law when the people in charge of the law are illegal? I think in that case, you raise a very powerful point.
Mr. Larkin, should Judge Boasberg recuse himself in the Hegseth case?
Oh, I don't want to offer an opinion about a specific case that I'm, know only.
Do you think Judge Boasberg, based on what the Speaker just said, what I highlight, think Judge Boasberg has a bias against President Trump and what he's trying to accomplish?
That's just phrasing the same question another way. I don't want to comment on a opinion.
That's what we do in Congress. That's
I know.
A lot of time.
Yeah. When I was an agent, we did the same thing to see if we could get the suspect to say something different.
How about this, Speaker Gingrich? I think you're exactly right. We have 3 avenues to address this. We can do legislative. which we're going to do tomorrow. We're going to pass Chairman Iss's bill, which says that some district judge injunction doesn't apply nationwide. We may want to come back with another bill that says automatic appeal to the Supreme Court, what you've suggested, and we're looking at that very thing. Second, we have oversight, which is what we're doing now. We're highlighting how ridiculous some of these decisions have been. Yeah. And third, what you pointed out is we got the appropriations process. The ultimate power we have, Mr. Massey's right, the power of the purse, we should use it. We should use all three of those avenues to make sure the will of the people, we the people, gets accomplished.
Not a day goes by when I don't hear people slamming Jim Jordan for his drama or his, being aggressive in court hearings. And that's not who this guy is. You can tell very clearly in this video that he really has a passion for the American people. He has a passion for the Constitution. And when you look at the Founding Fathers and what they envisioned the executive, legislative, and judicial branches to be, it wasn't that they would allow activist judges going out there and making decisions that affect the whole country and the safety of our own communities based on their own political statements and beliefs. That's not what this envisioned was when the Founding Fathers drafted the Constitution. And Jim's right that we have three ways out of this solution, out of this situation. Number one, we have to have oversight. We've got to bring these judges onto the carpet and hold them accountable and expose their decisions to light when they're based on a political ideology rather than truth, fact, and the Constitution. We really need to expose them for who they are, and then we need to have legislation that can get rid of them. Jim Jordan brings to light that we need legislative powers that are going to expose these folks in the judicial branch for who they are, and that we can remove them from power if they're making decisions based on anything but the law. That's what we need, is for the branches of the government to hold each other accountable and to have those checks and balances. And the third thing that Jim brings out correctly is that, we have the power of the purse if all else fails, is that we can defund these activist judges, remove their paycheck. If we remove their paycheck or their ability to fund, they will not be able to have the power that they have to hold injunctions that ruin the rest of the future of this country. When you look at Judge Boasberg's track record, there's no doubt, all the way from the FISA warrants of the Trump administration when he was running for office and the FBI, coming with fabricated evidence, all the way up to these planes, ordering these planes to be turned around, and all the way up to the criminal contempt charges against the Trump administration for not turning these planes around. You see who this guy is. And he's not the only one. There are judges across the country that are just making decisions based on their own political ideology rather than fact and truth and the Constitution and the laws that they have been sworn to uphold. And that's why Jim is so passionate about this. And I, for one, love watching and reacting to videos like this because it shows who Jim Jordan is, but it also kind of exposes who we are. And that's why Trending Politics is on the forefront of bringing these videos to light. We're bringing you to the source. Instead of just reading from a headline and making a decision and a judgment call based on a headline, we are bringing you the source of the information so you can make a decision from yourself and you can be the most educated and well-informed person out there. And that's why Trending Politics exists. I'm Andy with Trending Politics, and if you like content like this, make sure you like, share, and subscribe because we're here to bring you the truth.